Today, we're about to embark on a journey that spans millions of years and circles the globe, all following the delicate pink and white petals of cherry blossoms. These ephemeral flowers have inspired poetry, shaped mythology, symbolized peace, and even influenced our understanding of life itself. From their ancient geological origins in Central Asia to their role in modern climate science, from Japanese Hanami celebrations to Berlin's memorial groves, these aren't just trees, they're living storytellers. Join me as we uncover the remarkable saga of how a simple flowering tree became one of humanity's most beloved natural wonders. Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Roots Revealed. I'm Binish aka Beans, your guide to the fascinating history, culture, and science of plants. Together we'll uncover how plants have shaped civilizations, ecosystems, and our understanding of the natural world. Let's kick off with the next episode. Cherry blossom trees first appeared about 12 million years ago in eastern Mediterranean and Central Asia. They mainly grew in mild and warm regions across Asia, including China, Japan, Korea, and parts of Southeast Asia. Japan would later become essentially known for its cherry trees, which became worldwide symbols of beauty. But what caused cherry blossoms to diversify and spread? The answer lies in massive geological changes. When the Qinghai Tibet Plateau rose and global temperatures cooled, perfect conditions were created for different cherry species to develop. The Himalayan region was especially important as its isolated areas allowed different genetic varieties to form, essentially letting nature experiment with different cherry blossom varieties. Cherry blossoms didn't stay only in Asia. Between 5 to 10 million years ago, wild cherry species traveled from Asia to North America across the Bering Land Bridge, a now underwater strip of land that once connected Siberia and Alaska. Birds, animal, and even ocean currents likely helped carry cherry seeds over this huge distance. After this first migration, cherry blossoms spread throughout North America, while in Europe they arrived through both natural spreading and human activity. But perhaps the most fascinating chapter in the cherry blossom's geographical spread comes from human intervention. Let's explore how these trees became global ambassadors of beauty and friendship. While cherry trees had already spread to many parts of the world naturally, it was human activity that truly established them as global icons. One of the most famous examples of cultural exchange involving cherry blossoms occurred in 1912 when Japan donated 3,000 cherry trees to Washington, D.C. as a gesture of friendship. These trees planted around the tidal basin now attract over 1.5 million visitors annually during the National Cherry Blossom Festival. It's remarkable to think that a single gift of trees could create such a lasting cultural tradition in a country thousands of miles from their native habitat. But Washington wasn't the only recipient of Japan's floral diplomacy. Georgia in the United States and Vancouver in Canada both boast stunning cherry blossom display thanks to similar cultural exchanges. Even in the southern hemisphere, countries like Australia, New Zealand, and Brazil have embraced cherry blossoms. In Sao Paulo, Brazil, Japanese immigrants planted these trees in the 1950s, creating a beautiful cultural bridge between their old and new homelands. These global journeys show how cherry blossoms have transcended their biological origins to become symbols of friendship, renewal, and cross cultural appreciation. But to truly understand the cultural significance of these blossoms, we need to explore their special place in Japanese tradition, specifically the ancient practice of hanami. In Japan, cherry blossoms are more than just pretty trees. They are the main focus of an old tradition called hanami, which means flower viewing. This tradition has deep cultural and philosophical meaning beyond just looking at flowers. Hanami is a long standing Japanese tradition that welcomes spring by appreciating the beauty of flowers, particularly cherry blossoms known as Sakura and occasionally plum blossoms called ume. This custom celebrates the fleeting beauty of these flowers and their deep connection to nature and human life. Hanami began over 1000 years ago in Japan's Nara period from the early 8th century to the late 8th century. Back then, Japanese nobles copied Chinese customs and held plum blossom viewing parties. Later, during the Heian period from the late 8th century to the late 12th century, cherry blossoms became the main focus of these Japanese celebrations instead. During the Heian period, aristocrats and poets began holding flower viewing parties beneath the cherry blossom trees. These gatherings highlighted the symbolic significance of the blossoms and gradually spread to all segments of society. What began as an elite pastime evolved into a beloved national tradition that transcended social boundaries, uniting people in celebration of spring's arrival. Today, Hanami typically takes place between late March and early May, depending on the region's climate and the variety of cherry blossom trees in bloom. The spectacle can begin as early as January in southern Japan and gradually moves northward, reaching Hokkaido by May. During Hanami season, parks, gardens, and riversides across Japan transform into stages for celebration. Among the most famous locations are Ueno Park in Tokyo, Maruyama Park, and the Philosopher's Walk in Kyoto. These places are adorned with sakura trees, creating a hypnotic blend of pink and white blossoms. The peak bloom, known as the mankai, lasts only for a few days, creating a sense of urgency and excitement among hanami enthusiasts. During this brief window, nature presents its most glorious display before quickly fading away, emphasizing the ephemeral nature of beauty and life itself. One of the most appealing aspects of Hanami is its inclusivity. The celebration welcomes people of all ages and backgrounds. Families, friends, colleagues, and even strangers gather under the blossoming sakura trees to share in the festivities. In recent years, Yozakura or nighttime cherry blossom viewing has gained popularity, with lanterns illuminating the flowers, creating a surreal experience under the moonlight. At its core, Hanami is more than just a floral spectacle. It embodies a profound cultural and spiritual significance for the Japanese people. Cherry blossoms serve as an age old metaphor for human existence. Their blooming season is powerful, glorious, and intoxicating, but tragically short lived. A visual reminder of life's impermanence and the need to celebrate each moment. This concept resonates deeply with Japanese culture and explains why Hanami holds such a profound significance in the Japanese psyche. While Japan is best known for its cherry blossom traditions, these trees have become important in other places too. If we look at Europe, cherry blossoms have their own interesting story there as well. Cherry blossoms first came from Japan to Europe in the 1800s when scientists and gardeners became very interested in plants from exotic places. A German doctor named Philipp Franz von Siebold was the key to the story. Between 1829 and 1866, he brought many Japanese plants to Europe, helping some of them grow successfully in places like the Netherlands. While we don't know if he specifically brought cherry blossoms, his work helped many Japanese plants spread across Europe. During this time, botanical gardens were becoming popular all over Europe as colonies expanded. These gardens were places where exotic plants could be grown and studied. Cherry trees, with their beautiful blossoms, became very popular as decorative plants. Gardeners valued them for their beauty and for what they symbolized. But perhaps the most powerful story of cherry blossoms in Europe comes from Germany, particularly Berlin. In 1990, following the reunification of Germany, the Japanese television station TV Asahi launched a fundraising campaign to collect money for planting Japanese cherry trees in Germany. Enough donations were collected for over 9,000 trees, a large portion of which was sent to Berlin. The first trees were planted in November 1990 at Glienicke Bridge, a symbolic site of German division during the Cold War. Today, many cherry trees can be found in the former border strip as well as in parks and public facilities throughout the city. At the site of the so-called death strip that ran parallel to the Berlin Wall to prevent escape attempts, Japanese citizens planted 1,000 cherry trees. Since 1996, this long avenue of Japanese cherry trees has been known as the Japanek or Japanese Corner. Supported by the TV Asahi network, the trees were planted by the Japanese Sakura organizing community, with a memorial stone marking the significance of this touching gesture. Like in Japan, Berliners now gather at Japanek for picnics under the blossoming cherry tree branches, celebrating the arrival of spring, but also commemorating the fall of divisions that once separated the city. The symbolism of cherry blossoms takes on a more solemn tone in Hanover, Germany, which is Hiroshima's twin city. The Hiroshima Memorial Grove, inaugurated in December 1987, features 50 Japanese cherry trees. By 1989, another 60 trees had been added to commemorate the 110,000 people killed by the atomic bomb in Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. Each of the 110 cherry trees represents 1,000 victims, a poignant reminder of tragedy and the hope for peace. Today, cherry blossoms are beloved features in many European cities, attracting visitors during their blooming season. Their presence testifies to the enduring legacy of cultural exchange and botanical exploration. Now that we've explored the real world journey of cherry blossoms, let's delve into their significance in Japanese anime, mythology, and folklore, where these delicate flowers take on even deeper symbolic meanings. Cherry blossoms or sakura hold special significance in Japanese animation and storytelling. In anime, they symbolize life's fleeting beauty, new beginnings, and emotional depth. Their short blooming period often mirrors tragic moments such as Kaori's fate in Your Lie in April, while spring blossoms mark fresh starts like the beginning of the school year in My Hero Academia. Falling cherry blossom petals frequently heighten romantic scenes in 5 centimeters per second and cardcaptor sakura, or emphasize moments of sacrifice such as Itachi's story in Naruto. Visually, these cherry blossoms create atmosphere, whether serene or haunting. Essentially, sakura in anime are not just beautiful scenery, they serve as visual shorthand for life's most important transitions and emotions. But the importance of cherry blossoms in Japanese culture goes far deeper than modern media. It's woven into the very fabric of ancient mythology. In Japanese mythology, there's a goddess called Konohana Sakuya Hime, who is the deity of Mount Fuji and all volcanoes. She is also known as the Blossom Princess and symbolizes delicate earthly life. Often considered an avatar of Japanese life itself, her symbol is, fittingly, the sakura or cherry blossom. Shinto shrines dedicated to Sakuya Hime have been built on Mount Fuji, collectively known as the Asama or Sengen shrines. People believe she prevents Mount Fuji from erupting, although shrines to her at Kirishima have been repeatedly destroyed by volcanic eruptions. She is also famous for having torn up the Yatsugatake mountains because they were higher than her beloved Fujiyama. The oldest written text in Japan, the Kojiki, details the creation mythology of Japan and other myths related to various gods and goddesses. One of its most fascinating stories concerns Princess Sakuya. According to the Kojiki, Princess Sakuya Hime and Ninigi, the grandson of the sun goddess Amaterasu, met and fell in love on a beach. Ninigi immediately asked Sakuya's father for permission to marry her, but it was suggested that he should marry her older sister, Princess Iwanaga, instead. Ninigi refused, insisting on marrying Sakuya. They eventually wed, but this marriage would shape humanity forever. Princess Iwanaga was the princess of rocks, while Sakuya was the princess of cherry blossoms. If Ninigi had married the princess of the rocks, humans would have been blessed with long enduring lives like the rocks themselves. Because he married the princess of cherry blossoms, humanity was given short fleeting lives like the cherry blossoms themselves. This myth beautifully explains why human lives are brief but vibrant rather than eternal. After they got married, Sakuya became pregnant only after one day. Suspicious of this unlikely quick pregnancy, Ninigi accused his wife of carrying someone else's child. Furious at this accusation, Princess Sakuya built an enormous house and shut herself inside. "Watch," she told her husband. "If this child is truly yours, they would be born safely. If not, they will not be born safely." She then proceeded to set the house on fire while she was still inside. Ninigi panicked but could do nothing. Inside the burning house, Sakuya gave birth to 3 boys. All were Ninigi's children, and so they survived the fire along with their mother, proving her faithfulness and her divine nature. Today, there are multiple shrines dedicated to Sakuya Hime in Japan, most within sight of Mount Fuji. These shrines are often used to pray for easy births and protection against volcanic eruptions and fire. Beyond their beauty and cultural significance, cherry blossoms have found their way into various practical aspects of modern life, particularly in cuisine and medicine. In Japanese cuisine, Sakura mochi is a traditional plant based dish consisting of sweet pink colored rice with red bean paste filling wrapped in a pickled cherry blossom leaf. This leaf may or may not be eaten depending on a personal preference. Traditionally, this sweet is enjoyed during spring, especially at the annual Hina Matsuri festival on March 3rd and during Hanami parties. Similarly, sakurayu or cherry blossom tea is a Japanese infusion created by steeping pickled cherry blossom petals in boiling water. This herbal tea has been enjoyed in East Asian cultures for many generations and is valued not for its delicate flavor but also for potential health benefits. Speaking of health benefits, cherry blossoms, which belong to the genus Prunus or subgenus Cereus, offer more than visual delight. It is important to note that ornamental cherry trees are different from cherry trees grown for their fruit, though they are related. Prunus cerulata, one species of cherry blossom, is used in Chinese traditional medicine. It is believed that the plant's potential therapeutic benefits against various illnesses stem from the presence of many bioactive compounds, including antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. In Oriental medicine, this tree's edible fruits are used as an emmenagogue, a substance that stimulates or regulates menstrual flow. It is also used to treat mastitis, dropsy, and heart failure. Recent scientific studies have shown that pink cherry blossoms contain many bioactive chemical compounds that may have anti-cancer, antioxidant, and antiviral activities. Research also suggests potential benefits for heart problems, neurological issues, and even certain skin diseases. Keep in mind that not all flowers are safe to eat, and some can be poisonous. Always make sure that any flowers you plan to eat have been properly identified by experts as safe for consumption. Unfortunately, these beautiful trees face significant challenges in our changing world. Cherry blossoms are being affected by climate change in ways that scientists are only beginning to understand fully. Rising global temperatures have led to earlier blooming periods in various regions. In Washington, D.C., cherry blossoms traditionally peaked around April 3, but this is changing. They are blooming about 8 days earlier than they did in 1921. In fact, in 15 of the last 20 years, they bloomed before April 3. While the National Cherry Blossom Festival has gotten longer to try to catch the blooms, in recent years the trees have flowered early in the festival period. Some years, like 2024, the blossoms peaked before the festival even started. In Kyoto, the story is similar. Cherry blossoms are flowering earlier now than they have in the past 1200 years of records. Interestingly, scientists have noticed something unexpected. Too much winter warmth can actually delay blooming in some places, particularly in southern regions. If global warming continues, this delayed blooming effect might spread northward too. In Germany, the cherry trees in Bonn bloomed several weeks early in 2024, thanks to the unusually warm weather caused by climate change. These changes in blooming patterns are consistent with observed increases in global temperatures, suggesting a strong link between climate change and the altered flowering schedules of cherry blossoms. These timing changes affect more than just cherry blossom festivals. They could upset the natural balance that's developed around these trees over hundreds of years. For example, if trees bloom too early, the bees and the other pollinators might not be around yet to do their job. Cherry blossoms have always been a sign that spring has arrived, but now their early blooming is a sign that something's off. If the seasons keep shifting like this, we might miss more than just the flowers. We could lose the balance that nature has kept for centuries. As the last petal falls, what lingers is more than just beauty. It's the lasting imprint cherry blossoms have left on human hearts and history. They have stood through empires and eruptions, crossed borders as symbols of peace, and now bloom against the backdrop of a changing world. More than any other flower, they show us that life's most fleeting moments are often its most meaningful. And even as the climate shifts, their quiet return each spring reminds us that renewal is still possible, even in uncertain times. Thank you for tuning in to Roots Revealed. Support the show by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and sharing episodes with friends and family. If you have any feedback or suggestions, reach out to me at hello@rootsrevealed.org. Remember to keep exploring your roots and celebrating the rich diversity of our shared history. See you next time. Bye.